Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Way We HNC It. Cammy here as your host for today. Bez, for some reason, left me with the keys to the studio, which I'm sure he's going to regret. But here we are. I'm joined today by two lovely guests that, as I alluded to in the story I posted last week, I couldn't host them last week due to our software deciding to play funny buggers. But I have Mr. Daniel Birch of the Coventry Panthers and our Eubo from the Grangemouth Mustangs. Gentlemen, welcome.
Good evening, Cammy. Thank you for having us on.
More than welcome. Dan, how you doing?
Good evening. Yeah, not too bad, sort of. Yeah, after a good weekend at the finals, it's nice to actually...
Yeah, we all recovered. Are we all feeling all right?
Yeah, I was away straight after it with work, so today's my first full day back in my house, which is nice.
Yeah, Eubo's dedication to the podcast right now is unmatched. He was on a flight the morning after finals and then came straight back
in the Monday morning. So that was not one of my wiser decisions on reflection, but yeah.
Nobody said we're smart. We play flag. It's fine.
This weekend was the easiest recovery possible. Didn't have to play. Just had to watch.
Just an itchy face, mate, after some silly costumes. So it has been a hot minute since me or Bez has recorded anything, just due to multiple factors. So we've got a fair bit to catch up on. First on the docket, and probably most importantly of recent, is the Americas tournament that went on the same weekend as finals. So firstly, a big congratulations to Mexico women for going back-to-back after their World Games, taking on the USA again, and then Canada in the final, which was wild to see. Didn't expect that at all whatsoever. And then, unfortunately, the men's final was cut short due to weather. But as we found out at the weekend, player safety is number one. If there's lightning or heavy rain, then we are going to have to take a little break, much to some players' dismise, but such is life. But yeah, it was quite a interesting one, especially the women's side. Seeing the Canadians come up against the Mexicans in the final.
Yeah, I mean the
big win by
in the Canada.
Yeah, was.
There you go.
I think we've seen Canada at the World Games, and I mean each game that they got to, you could see what they've built over the past couple of years and why they sit in the world ranking position that they are. So to see them in a final is no surprise. When the top three of that sort of Mexico, USA, Canada are all fighting for a place, only two can make it to a final. And on any given day, it could be any of them.
As me and Dan were chatting just before we went live about how Canada has actually recently changed their approach to going to these things. Usually they'd send a club team of such, whoever won their national final, as their representative to world champions or whatnot. But I've changed that recently, and for the better, apparently, because they're now making finals. So good on them. Fair play.
I think that's always been the challenge with places like Canada, Australia, where the region is so massive in comparison to everyone flocking towards Loughborough for the UK. It's how do you do that in such a big country? That's been the challenge I think these places have had. So
what do you mean their 6-hour flight is more difficult than our 6-hour drive down to Loughborough Central Belt?
But yeah, I mean, I wasn't aware that was the change that they made. So if they are starting to look at, rather than the best team in the region, who are the best players in those, and if you can aggregate the best players, then that can only translate to success in the field.
Indeed, yeah.
I also think if you heard Jed's podcast, they changed recently from 3, or I don't know if they still do it, but 3 downs to 4 downs in Canada. So those sort of things are things that there's definitely at least one point they were doing quite a lot of the time doing 3 downs instead of 4. So trying to actually sort of start to learn and adapt to that. And if you've only been playing 3 downs in your national championship, it might have changed now, but to then go and play 4 at international, it is a different game. So if they've started to now also have camps where they're all playing with the 4 downs with the rules, that's just going to slowly start building sort of.
Something we kind of seen, like there's a lot of, like on all these big podcasts over in America, you see a lot of grown adults commenting, talking about how the contact over here is different to what it is over there, and they're basing it all off NFL flag, which has a completely separate different rules. Obviously, you've got the like semi-con. You've got so many different variations of the sport over there that they don't actually being able to explain to someone that we all follow one rule book, and America's just decided, oh, we're going to make our own contingent of this and have our own fun with it. But such is life.
You often see that a lot of international tournaments, probably in the maybe 4 or 5 years ago, is where you would have those American teams coming over. It's a very quick adjustment period where they've jammed someone 5 yards down the pitch and going hands up, going, what do you mean? I can't do that, and it's it's a quick adjustment.
I remember playing Bold City at Flag of New Year in 2024. We ran for the first down, and Jason stood there like, "Oh, what do you mean you can run?" Because they've got a no-run zone to the halfway line as well as the end zone. So, they learned that very quickly and abused it very quickly, much to their dismay. But think on your feet. It's fine. Moving slightly closer to home, we also had Panther Bowl on the 22nd, 23rd of August, was it? I can't remember. That weekend, anyway. Where we see 23rd, where we seen the pick and mix, random allotment of players that came together to fill up the bracket, winning the women's. And the Jokers, who run by Frost from down in the London Smoke, coming out top. That was a packed team. They had George Goodridge, they had Matteo, Ben Slade, D from the London Warriors, who recently lost their final in the contact side of things, playing for them. So that roster was stacked. It was a lovely day, though. It was a great day. The weather stayed fairly mild. Conditions were good. Fun was had.
Yeah, it was a great day. Throwing it over to me, I think, on this one. So it was a great day. Yep. Everyone came out, and obviously it's one of our big things to do a charity tournament every year. Sort of this year, raising for a charity close to the club. And a big shout out to Liam and Greaves for running the day, Laura and Gerps just for keeping the pitches on time, and obviously people like Becca and everyone who helped sort of run that day, and not just the tournament. We had the bake sale, we had the raffle at the end, and it grows from strength to strength every year. And well done to the Jokers, obviously our first multiple time champions. The 4 times we've run this, they have now won half of them. So any teams next year want to try and knock them off that purge, I more than welcome it. But the big thing is we're coming together to have a good day of flag. The weather held, which was brilliant, and raise money for charity. And sort of looking at the initial sort of numbers with that day alone, because it's the start of our fundraising for the club, we sort of do it year round. So we kicked it off this year with Panther Bowl, and we've raised just over £1,800, which is a monumental amount in one day for the entry fees, the bake sale. So we can't thank everyone enough for sort of getting involved, and it'll just be the start. There'll be some other stuff that we do throughout the year, sort of other stuff in the works. But it was a great day and good bit of flag football. Good to also play against Cammy.
It was a really good day. It was really, 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 really. Was that the first? Not that I was just coming back off finding out that I tore my ACL, and I'm just like, Dan's playing. I need to come back, don't I? But I'm not going to talk about that game. You can talk about that game if you want, but I'm not saying much about it. I'd done my job. I scored my 3 touchdowns. I was happy. But it was a really well run day. And as you said, Liam and Greaves, hats off to them, because running a tournament from paper is an absolute nightmare, and they've done it with efficiency. So thank you to them for me putting up with my antics, coming over every 2 minutes to find out which either of the Scoff teams finished. We had a great day. Like I was going to ask,
how was that for the first outing of the Scoff teams ahead of
Scoff? We played each other to finish in the 5th, 6th round spot game, and honestly, it was, as someone who was supposed to be just coaching, sitting with Nicky, Dante, Richie, and we got 4 camping chairs, we got 4 pints, and we sat down and just watched the boys play, and we had a bit of a laugh just watching them, all the antics fall out. So our purple team came 5th, and our what is now referred to as the Blancos, the white team, came 6th. So congratulations to all them who got the call up for Scotland. Well done. We are in the process of making our selection for our Pumpkin Bowl team. So players should be hearing from us shortly if they haven't already. If you've got any questions, feel free to shoot any of us a message. But yeah,
that will have been good as well. I mean, there's been the training sessions this year, and you get to see scoff on scoff, but it's once you start getting into a game situation of right, you've got as you said, Frost from the as leader of the Jokers with a whole pack of London's finest to play against. That's where you work out who you can rely on in the team and who's going to excite you, who's got the potential. So I think that can only look good for.
Yeah, you played them. What was probably one of the fastest games of the day. There was lots of just came on top of that one. But some huge plays from both sides, and then obviously refereeing the final myself. It was great to just watch instead of compete against the Jokers and watch them have fun and play their game. And congratulations to the Crows for making the final as well. Played a tremendous game, but weren't strong enough to take over. The Jokers who got the trophy, and I believe it was D. Williams, is that his surname? I know his first name's D, who got the MVP. He was quarterbacking for most of the day for them, so congratulations to him. And was it Lizzie or Izzy? Sorry, that won.
Izzy, I believe. Izzy, yeah.
Izzy, yeah. Won the women's MVP. So.
In her
first outing
in an adult tournament.
Congratulations, well done.
First adult tournament, absolutely did amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, great. But the way the day finished with the presentation and doing the raffle and stuff at the end, and it all just getting a bit not rowdy, just a bit loud and a bit fun, a bit silly. It was a really nice way to end the day. And yeah, then we had our ridiculous drive back up to Scotland that wasn't assisted by a massive crate of beer. So yeah, thank you to the Panthers and to yourself, Dan, and everyone involved for running a tremendous day. And then moving,
I can take no credit. They all did it.
You're not taking credit. Okay, fair enough.
I did nothing. I just stood back.
We had Flagpalooza, which was 2 months ago now. August.
I was going to say it has been a minute.
Yeah, it has been that long since we've recorded. Yeah. Recorded something that isn't GB focused, but yeah. Palooza, long weekend, good weekend, but jeez, it's the second year's run, and this year we made so much improvement to what we did last year, and I cannot thank Ben enough for everything that he's done and how much better he was as well as a tournament organizer compared to last year, and all the feedback that he took from a lot of people, myself included, and then let me come on board and help run it. So we did have our problems. We are not naive to that whatsoever, but we are quite happy with how it went as a whole. The weather was way too hot for someone of my complexion, but the standard of football was good. Even to the extent of all the cameras and media equipment that we had there, like the mic'd up and my stupid head cam and whatnot.
I think we should get that trending, to be fair. I do like that.
Oh, it's so much fun. We had the head cam down at Panther Bowl as well with Lightbody, and he got a touchdown and it falls off and sits right in his face. And
that's a very high point of view.
Yeah. It just looks like a giant. But yeah, so winners of that in the mixed bracket was Bowl City College, which is a surprise to absolutely no one. And our ladies bracket, which was run on the Sunday, was the Furies. So congratulations to both of them. Nuremberg Renegades came plate winners with the Coventry. Nope, not Coventry. Cheltenham Neptunes finishing as runners-up for the plate, and then I think our friends of the show were 12th, maybe 13th. I can't remember. I don't know. But we were down for the vibes. We had a lot of fun that weekend. It was good. The evening parties, the opening night on the Friday with the pizza was great. Good food, good flag, good people, good times.
And your mixed MVP, I think, is a familiar face as well.
mixed MVP. Who
would that have been Jules, or have I picked that up wrong?
You picked that up wrong. That was, I cannot remember the young gentleman's name. No, Jules did not win MVP.
I thought it was
For
holding a
once.
belt. That may have been me. Yeah, maybe that was my supply. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get onto the MVP that Jules won slightly later. It was this young gentleman from Florida who was left, right, and centre. He was all over the place and had great attitude, but it was also absolutely ferocious on the pitch. If he was there, he let you know, and if you weren't there, he also let you know because he was like chaos. But Bold City they started off quite rough, and they're probably going to blame me for that because there was a pass interference that I apparently didn't call. Still swear by it. Sorry, Jason, but yeah, congratulations to them all the same for coming out on top.
Yeah.
Palooza next year has been lined up for the 21st to 23rd of August 2026. That's a week after Worlds. Don't think we've opened registration or anything yet, but the dates are out. If you've got any questions or anything that you'd like to bring to us, give us a shout, message the page, the podcast, or Flag Palooza on Instagram, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Has there been any sort of feedback that at this stage that you're taking forward, or will that just be once we get to?
We do. Me and Ben we're in cahoots, and we know we've got our eyes set on what we want to change from this year. We're sort of setting. I know the year before was quite different to what it was this year. So this year is sort of our benchmark, and it was quite successful. In the grand scheme of things. So, but again, nothing's ever going to be perfect. So we are looking to make it even bigger and even better than next year.
Yeah.
Okay. This one. And then final bit of news. Something was announced today.
There was something announced today.
There were
two things announced today.
There was two things announced today. Mm-hmm. Our schedule, not our schedule, sorry, no, our roster list, sorry, for goodness sake, for the mixed, I am waffling here. The men's and women's GB teams for Euro 2025 were announced. Both staff and players were announced, so congratulations to the men's team who made it in alphabetical order of their surname. Spencer Brown, AJ Carr, Joe Cottrell, Ollie Dyer, Isaac Harden, Liam Harper, Jack Jarrett, David McInally, Ozzy Obazor, Ben Schneller, Max Verlin, and Charlie Williams. For our players, who is headed up by Nick Keys, defence is going to be called by Andrew Gibson, and we have two assistant coaches in Reece Jackson and James Slack, team manager Paul Labette, who we're all very familiar with, and finally the physio Ben Alway. Yes, long alluded to, we've not really known what's going on behind the men's side of things for a while. We got a bit of an idea with what was going on with the women's thanks to the World Games, but we finally have our men's list, which has been in development for what feels like an age now.
Yeah, and I'm just having a look at that. There's at least a good 80% of that were in football action in some capacity past a quarter final on Saturday at the Manchester finals. So it's a good selection of the best that our country has to offer.
I think all besides two finished in the top five, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, all besides three finished in the top five. Sorry, Mr. Dr. Holden. But yeah, strong out. Looks good. It's gonna. I know Nick had the teams over at Copenhagen Bowl, but that was very much two trialist teams, and he's adapted what he wanted to adapt, changed what he wanted to change. So we will see them in action very, very soon.
Yeah, I've noticed a couple other ones that have come up from the Silver programme as well. In a couple of years. So
big shout out to Isaac and Ozzy there, coming through the ranks. It's great to see that what's been started so long ago is now coming into effect. I know there's players that have like Jack Jarrett and Brandon Lamb came from the Euros in the last cycle, so us continuing that development from a grassroots point of view, and then obviously what we're going to be seeing in the next 5-10 years, the people come through the youth ranks as well, which is wild. Makes me feel sold.
Yeah.
And then of course we have our women's select as well. Some familiar faces returning because we didn't see them that long ago. Same again, in alphabetical order of their surname. Jessica Allen, Kate Brunsville's, Laura Carter, LC10, Grace Conway, Emma Derricott, Hannah Elliott, Jockbed Fringbaum, Emily Kemp, Marta Matthews, Phoebe Schechter, Abby Snelson, Ellie Thorpe, and we have Lottie Laidler and Beth Newley going as alternatives. And a much bigger coaching staff, so I'm just going to round this off quickly. The usual suspects: Jack Reed, Marky Ostrander as the DC, Fraser Thompson coming in as a defensive assistant. We've got Brett coming back over as an offensive coach, Paul Manera as another offensive coach, Euan Tucker as video coordinator, Richard Greaves, Megan McDonald, another friend of the show who played with us at Flagpalooza, going over as an assistant coach, and Angie Hulst as the team physio.
There's a bigger roster. There'll be a lot of support there, and it's an hour away from the UK rather than 3 flights and just more time zones to get to China. So
I'm just glad I don't need to get up at 4 a.m. to watch a game. Bit closer your home, Daniel. Any thoughts?
Yeah. Again, it's keeping very much that team and that ethos that they built out in China. So the main team is obviously all the same from China, but it's good to see some of those coaches in there who have also sort of done a lot of work in the background. Richard Greaves, obviously from the Panthers. He's the club head coach of the Panthers and does a lot of work across all of our teams and sort of helps us all. And so it's good to see him going across and sort of doing some stuff out there with the GB. He's also a GB Silver coach. But yeah, good to see. Again, before Panthers still in there. It's exciting that we can go over. It's somewhere so close, so you're not having to worry about absolute miles of travel and getting up at a stupid o'clock. But yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to watch. I'll try. I don't think everything's going to be streamed, so I'll try and get as many updates to people as possible. But yeah, it's going to be a good tournament. I think it's a week. Well, we're recording on a Thursday, so a week today. First day will probably be over, and we'll be in the thick of it. So it's come around very quickly, and it'll be interesting to see how they do and see what changes or not changes and stuff they've made since China. Because I know there's been a lot of work going in, not just within the coaches themselves. So they've had loads of calls and sort of virtual camps and everything, but also I know the players have absolutely put everything into this. There's been pretty much extra sessions all the time. They've been getting together as a squad and just really working. So I'm really excited to see what they put out on the field, because seeing the hard work they've all put in behind the scenes has been quite cool to see, but I can't wait for them to show it on the field.
Be great, yeah. It feels like we've got a proper momentum now. Like, I feel, obviously because of COVID and stuff, and us not being represented in the Worlds in Israel 2020, 21, whenever it was, the past three big ones, so World Games, World Championships and Euros in the past couple of years, and now we've got another one right on our doorstep to keep the momentum going. I'm just excited for more flag. As always, the way we HNC it do have our channel where we will put in live updates for the games. We do have many fingers and many pies over there, so we should be bringing people live updates as much as we can. We will at least be bringing game updates as soon as they finish, and post them on our story. So make sure you follow the podcast and join the channel if you want to stay involved.
I think that's good about the momentum with the team as well, because it's been such a short turnaround from the World Games, and from what I understand, there's just been a virtual camp recently, and it's been a lot of time spent on celebrating what went well with the team, because it was a tremendous trip that they had over to China, and to finish just outside of that championship bracket, at the top of outside the championship bracket, then it's important to keep that momentum going, and that's why I think you're not seeing a great rotation in that squad, because everyone's so immersed in it just now and committed to working and improving, and knowing that they've done well in China, but there is another gear, and that's what that coaching team's spending the time doing now, and making sure that team's the best version of themselves as they go to Paris.
Well put, mate. Well put. I'm just excited for it. I feel like I was really excited towards the end of my flag calendar, being like, right, we get finals over and done with, and then I realise, oh no, we've got European Championships, and then 2 weeks after that, I've got to go over to Prague to go play Champions Bowl. Well, I probably shouldn't, but we're going to try anyway, so we'll see.
I think the end of a flag calendar is like the magician pulling hankies out of his sleeve. It just keeps going.
When's the end of a string?
Yeah.
Plus,
but yes, now
starts week after.
No, don't.
Week after Euros, football season starts.
Oh no!
Straight into it.
No rest for the wicked. Right, on to the main section of today's podcast. NFFL finals. Obviously, we couldn't bring much into it beforehand because the software we used decided that it didn't like... I'm going to blame Eubo for this. It didn't like Eubo specifically. It was nothing to do with the fact that I couldn't log in or the account got locked out or anything like that. Nothing to do with the fact Bez was on holiday. It was all Eubo's fault. So, shame on you, mate. But yes, we're going to start... Eubo, where do you want to start? Do you want to...
Let's go chronologically. Let's just start with Prem.
Start with Prem? Cool. No problem at all. Okay, first round of games, which we seen what I'm going to call an upset. I think I'm going to call it an upset. Maybe controversial call it that, but no, sorry, that was in the second round. Apologies. Ignore me completely. That was not an upset. First round of games, when pretty much according to seeding, as far as I'm aware, I believe.
Sharks were the only ones to upset the seed.
Sharks were the only one to upset the seed against the Outlaws. Yeah. Didn't get to watch the game, unfortunately, because I was coaching my youth team and getting them prepped for their first game. Either of you see it?
I didn't know the Broncos were playing at the same time, unfortunately, for that one.
Yeah, I was sat between the Broncos, Neptunes, and the Crows Fire game, so that's what we decided.
Crows Fire game was
particular round.
Whoa. I heard good things about the Crows Fire game and the Broncos Tunes game as well. We were parked right in front of the Tunes Broncos game. You'll be all too familiar for this, but there was so many times that some of the Hornets youth parents were like, "Oh, Broncos are getting absolutely smashed here," and I was just like, "I don't think they are." I went over and checked, and it was a tied game. Yeah. And I went back, and they were like, "Oh, there's been 2 scores. Broncos are down." And I went back, and I was like, "No, it's still tight." Like it's.
I think if it was a game that you were half paying attention to, you seen the noise and you seen the big catches from the Neptunes to take that, whereas probably the Broncos drives were more methodical. Sure, get in the half and then building from there. But the number 46 from the Neptunes was putting on a show for the sidelines to see.
It was one of the highest scoring games of the day, and Broncos sneaking it out with a 1.1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think for those guys that's an improvement on last year's result, and that's what it's been. It's been a year of working around different commitments and all that kind of thing. So that was certainly goal number 1 for the day. Is let's get around further than we did last year, and everything else is what we build from. So
yeah, the first round exit to Edinburgh last year was a bit of a shocker. But yeah, the Broncos this season have been much improved, especially towards the end of the season, compared to what they were. Like the Broncos that I've seen in the past final 2 weeks of the league compared to the Broncos that I've seen last year as a whole are just completely different. So
yeah, watching that game as a neutral was great because it was quite back and forth and you didn't quite really know where it was going to end up. And the the Broncos' defense in the second half really took a step up. I think they picked off the Neptunes twice, and that final ball up the left-hand sideline from Scooter to, I don't know your center's name, that ball and catch was, it was stupendous. Like, I can't really use many other words because the defender wasn't getting the ball. It was only going to the Broncos center and toe tap in the end zone. It was.
Was this the one at Woodsy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. It was just
I know exactly what you're
like,
talking about.
seeing that live, my hands were like just on my head. I was like, this is mental.
Yeah.
Like, in that high pressure situation where you have to score and to pull out that it was good football to watch.
Yeah. I mean, ex-GB talent right there. Callum Woods is, again, one of the biggest difference makers in the latter half of this season.
Yeah,
But seeing him back fit is...
Recovering from injury and obviously, I mean, it's such a... you can have 5 centres in your club and you'll have one that, you'll just have that chemistry with, and that is Scott and Callum, and that's no discredit to the guys that have been filling in and doing a great job, to be honest, because if it's not your bread and butter, then it's a high pressure situation to take on. So they've done a fantastic job, and that's guys that then have to go and be athletic elsewhere in the field. It's exciting to see Callum working back, and a bit of a fire in his eyes that's gear one for him, and that 2026 is looking brighter with a spot in the national.
Yes, we could have them up. I'm glad that they're up. Definitely, especially with like how the tail end of last season. I know I spoke about them last season quite a lot, and I apologise, but like it is good to have another northern team up there, and they do belong. So, congratulations to them. Quarterfinals. This is where I thought one of the biggest upset was. And I was playing on the pitch right next to this while it happened. But the Titans coming away with a 1-point victory. Again, I think you were standing. Yeah, I think you were standing between the two pitches for this one as well, Dan, weren't you? But yeah,
yes, I was between the two, and obviously you have a little bit of history between these two teams. You had the Slade walk-off touchdown 2 years ago, and I don't think they've really played each other since. And you could just tell that Manchester came in with a bit of... I think people were underestimating them going in. I think they were kind of like, we're the 4th seed here, we're ready for this. But and Reading were coming in with our season starts now. We're going for it. Like let's go, because they have a challenging division, but they've gone through pretty unscathed. And that was just a great game. Little bit of, I wouldn't say controversy, a decision at the end that some people disagreed with. As a neutral, I couldn't get a very good view, but the Titans were driving. If they get a first down, they won the game. 4th down, ball comes out. One of them calls where it's a bang bang call, and the ref calls it over the first when a lot of people thought it was short. So yeah, I think that was it made it a little bit tougher for the loss for Reading, but then they went on and did what they did. But yeah, back and forth game, and a 1-point game in the quarterfinals of effectively the national now. We can just start calling it that. Was pretty epic. So yeah, it was a good game.
It is
at least get to see the end because it was raining.
It is what I think. That's like a really, like what you said there. What is the national now is a really good point to make, because we are moving to a system where we're not trying to see blowouts anymore, and having one of the top 4 from the north against one of the top 3 from the south actually going at each other, and it being a 1-point game is exactly what you want going into next season. Like, we don't want any more blowouts. We're trying to get away from that sort of system. So, yeah, congratulations to the Titans on sealing that one out. Glasgow Hornets, we played against Chichester Sharks, and I think they seen rain for the first time ever. So the wet favours the north, apparently. We cleared that one 39-7. I think it's the first time I've played the Sharks in a BAFA league. Familiar with a lot of the people. Obviously, Neil Henderson would hit when he founded it. I know George really well. Matteo played a phenomenal game. Vin Berry, it was good to see Corey back. And of course, Quiggs coming in as well, running both sides of the ball. But yeah, that was it was a fun game to play, and it was good to get going. It was good to get warm. And honestly, it was for the Hornets. We were trying to get used to the elements at that point. Just once we got 2 scores up, it was trying to find out where our strengths were lying with the day that we had ahead. We were planning for rain. We were planning for a bit of misery. And I know we will be much more used to the rain than the southern teams, but in high pressure moments, anything can change. So, yeah, we just kind of tried to feel out the rest of the game.
What kind of squad size were Chichester coming up with? I'm interested to see how the format of this suited them, because they've all just been coming off of a win against Edinburgh, and they're straight into it.
So I don't think. I know they brought Matteo onto defence in the second half, and I know Quigley, Will was playing both ways quite a lot of it as well. So I don't think, I'll be honest, I wasn't paying too much attention to their sideline. But I don't, going by who I've seen in front of me, I don't think they had the biggest of squads.
Having spoken to them, I think, in the gap between the wild card and course, they were missing a couple of people. They have a GB Silvers player who blitzes for him and gave me absolute hell in the season, who they were missing. But they started off hot in that game. They went up, like their first drive, they just went up and scored. But then obviously
not stopping George.
No, but then obviously that sometimes happens when you're just coming in as a cold team versus a team that's already had a game, and then you could see people start to warm up, and then it just sort of went on from there. So yeah, it was a good game to watch, especially the start, and then obviously the heavens opened middle of this. So I'm not afraid to admit I ran inside because I was like, I can't stay the whole day getting absolutely drenched. But yeah, the start of the game was really good. And the ending of the game was obviously you're up and controlling it at that point.
I think the game felt a lot tighter than it did going into half before we started to pull away. But I think we were the Hornets were, I don't know if it was just from last year, because obviously we had, 56-7 against Edinburgh. Like, we came out hot and we came out hard in the first game, and then this year we're just a bit like, right, kind of seized up a little, but we got over the line. That's all that mattered. Moving swiftly onwards, we had last year's second place team, the Cardiff Hurricanes, coming up against the Manchester Crows in a 47-14, and I don't think any of us would have seen that, but it seems like it was quite a convincing win for Joe and his band of brothers. And then Eubo, I'm assuming you've seen this one. It was the London Broncos game.
Yes, yeah. So I beat Cheltenham, and then straight into the crucible of the London Smoke in your next round. So, I mean, this has been a matchup now. I think certainly the past two. Sorry, not the year before. Yeah, sorry, probably two of the last three before the weekend. There, it's a matchup that we've seen.
23.
And yeah, it's playing the London Smoke is just about execution on every single down. There isn't an opportunity to to go on a 4-0 and expect that you can stay in the game each time. So I mean, the Broncos stayed in it right to the end. I think the last score in the game was Fraser Hudson on fly, beating everyone over the top. To make it just a 15-point game. And yeah, I think that's it. As I said, the guys took a lot from the game. They were happy with the performance that they put in, because I think if once you come straight out of one game that is going to be a 1-point thriller, it can be, I think, quite a daunting thing. Great, now it's on the smoke.
Trying to get the heart rate down and the head back intact. And then you realise you've got to play one of the most clinical offences in Europe. Not an easy task for anyone.
So no, I think to stay in that game as long, mentally as well, to not check out and keep trying to push that offense down the field and get the stops where you can. That's to keep that to a 15-point game. I think that's I think the Broncos can be really proud of themselves, which I believe they are.
What you said earlier, the target they set out was to get one better than last year, and they've done that. So should be proud of themselves. They made the National League. They know what they like for next year. Time to recover and build upon it. Then straight after that was the first round of the plate. We had the Oil Cats versus Sharks with a quite convincing 27-7 win. Outlaws versus the Red Devils. Devils taking that 41-28. The London Fire versus the Broncos in 31-20. Is that back-to-back games?
Back to back.
That is
Cheltenham London A, London B.
That ow. But I think me and Dan will have a few words to say about the schedule once we finish wrapping this up. But and then finally the Cheltenham Neptunes versus the Manchester Crows in an overtime thriller in the first round of the plate. Cheltenham Neptunes taking that game 47-40. Just while we're on it, schedule, Dan. Thoughts? I know we've spoken about this behind closed doors, but
I think it was challenging, and in one of the best examples of this at the weekend was Reading versus Cheltenham in the plate final. There was a lot of conversations because a lot of those players wanted to not actually play that game and go and watch the national final. And like having multiple games at the same time is great until you want to showcase the sport and you want to have an atmosphere. And I remember a couple of years ago, my first time up at finals, it was Hurricanes versus Smoke. And the atmosphere, everyone around that pitch 5, and just having an absolute, like, the highs, the lows, the interaction in the crowd. Like, one of the best clips that came out of the weekend was Hegarty and Juno with the for the contact foul. It was like, but that's what you get when there's crowd there and there's people to interact. So it was a shame that you didn't have everyone there to watch it and see it because, again, you've got youth games going on as well. A lot of these youth teams want to look up to people who are playing or know people who are playing. Go, that's who I want to be as I go through my career. So it was a real disappointment that you didn't get to have them at the same, like have one game that everyone could focus on and make it a real spectacle. So that was probably the disappointing from the schedule thing.
That's probably one of the most memorable parts for you. I think last year was obviously, yes, winning the first national championship. Yeah. But how packed was that sideline?
I was just about to say, from personal experience, like the London Smoke final in 23, and having everyone round the side, like that was the most packed it's been. I had Dale Kirby and the Devils down in one corner, and I had Eubo sitting and all the Broncos sitting on our sideline. Everybody was there, and everybody, like, you felt the atmosphere, you felt the pressure, you felt the cheers. Like, I remember being very anxious going into that game, scoring a touchdown and walking off to the sideline, and Eubo just turned to me and shouted, "Who's going to carry the boats?" And it makes so much of a difference when you're in that moment. Like, it distracts you, but also focuses you. It motivates you. Like, I love it. I think the biggest gripe for myself was not only that I missed coaching a semi-final, but I also missed coaching a final of my youth team, which really sucked. And two of my players, both 13-year-old, stepped up and said, "Do you know what? We're going to call a defence." And they done it. The first time ever calling a defence was in a national semi-final. That is, and they won it. And they won it. Like, it was brilliant. I'm really proud of them for that. But I'm always going to probably think that it might have been a bit different if I was there. Maybe we could have won gold. They came second to the Northern Ducks, who played a phenomenal game. But it's always going to be in the back of your head, like, could I have made a difference if I was there, you know?
I think the atmosphere at finals, so we spent a lot of time watching really good live streams of really good athletes, across the World Games. We're going to watch it at Euro at Paris, where we've got live streams. We can watch these games, and there's a crowd. And I think not having the Premiership final as a standalone event, but not to the same degree. But then not having the youth as its own standalone, like there, I personally feel
like
in the schedule.
Like selfishly, I'm talking about me in a final, but
Yeah.
the youth deserve their limelight too. They deserve people watching them.
Yeah.
Even to the extent of the plate. Like, if the plate's on, I'm going to go and watch plate finals on. If there's a silverware football game happening, I'll go
Yeah.
and watch it.
I think
And
the lights, like having a full site, like look,
Friday night light, like yes, exactly. Like
if you're lucky in a game day, you'll have a sideline of friends and family, and that's incredible. That support's amazing. When you get to finals, that's everyone. Everyone's all eyes on that game. That is the hot water that can either turn a potato to mush or turn an egg solid. Do you know what I mean? It's that's where you're going to get the plays. That's where you're going to get the pressure. That's what makes the highlight reels. That's what gets people going, wow, I can't believe he did that.
I completely agree. Like, even though I didn't win it, one of my favourite finals that I've ever watched or been part of, besides the women's final last year, will always be that London Smoke final in 23, because it was dark. It was under the floodlights. I had Bez up in the booth. I had the sideline there, and I know I didn't win that game, and I know I was heartbroken for weeks after it. But if I could bottle the feeling that I had as a player on a pitch, it would be from that game. Like that. That was just pure ecstasy. It was incredible. But alas, that's not what happened. It's not what we got. And I'm sure it'll be fed back to BAFA this year. And I'm hoping that it will change next year. Because if we could have a mix of what we had in the past 2 years and this year, with a slightly condensed schedule, but also a bit more focus on, no offence to any of the other teams, but some of the larger games that are at hand, that would be incredible. I think they would have hit the nail on the head there.
I think that when you look at the schedule as it was completed, it's not hard to see the teams that had to play 2 and 3 games back to back, and how those results go. I think there is a solution there that can do a better job to support those teams, rather than just you're in the bottom half of the wildcard slot,
Get on with it.
better be fit. So yeah, it obviously carried the same for Div 1 as well.
Yeah.
There's opportunities to change next year with the 3-tier system as well, because that may affect who makes playoffs, how things go, and I'm sure we'll get onto the double buy stuff of Div 1 in a bit, but there's opportunities, because obviously you're not going to have this expanded field potentially in the national, so it might only be a game or two, but you might have semi-finals that are on a final day, and you have all the national championships. There's a lot of things that could happen, so it's exciting. It's a shame that this year we didn't get that spectacle, but having not had it may push for it to be better and bigger going forward.
Of course. Yeah, I understand. I say this from my usual very high horse, because I've been in the top 3 for the past 4 years, but it was a bit, how do I say this politely? It was a bit anticlimactic. That's the word I'm looking for this year. Even with the celebrations and whatnot. But alas. Anyway, enough moaning about BAFA and schedules and whatnot. Back to the matter at hand. I believe we had our first round of what do we call the top bracket? Would you call that the final? I don't know. Championship bracket. The first round of the semi-finals of the championship bracket. So, again, Dan, you were sitting between the benches. I'm probably going to come back to you for both of these, but we'll start with the Smoke Canes game. 26-24 in favour of the London Smoke.
Yeah. I tell you what, having multiple semi-finals at the same time was like having in the flag version of Red Zone. You just turned your head and you just had football and something was going on. So that was quite enjoyable, although keeping track of both games was pretty impossible. But yeah, Smoke versus Cardiff, a very tight game. Obviously, 2 years previous, Smoke had won it. Last year, Cardiff had got the better of Smoke on both occasions. This year, Smoke had won the regular season. So how was it going in? It was a cracking game. It was back and forward. It came down to the last play, and what a play! I believe it was Henry who made that play at the very end, just knocking the ball. It came down to that, and it was brilliant. Like, it came down to an individual piece of brilliance. Both teams played amazing, but to come down to just that one piece of just put it on the line, knock it out to secure a win was a great game to watch. And to be fair, to get that shot, Cardiff did quite well in the build-up to that. I think there was a few little mistakes on that final drive where they could have had they had a few little sort of miscommunications with a side snap and a throw forward. But to give you that shot, I think they're about 12 yards out and go like one shot. It's the thing that as players you dream of. You're like, one shot to win it or one shot to win it for your team on defense is.
Yeah.
To have that in a national semi-final, it was a treat. And I think, yeah, it was quite an enjoyable game to watch. Again, now looking at that GB team that's been released, you go, well, I recognise half those players and half those names because they were all on the field in that national semi-final.
Yeah. Fair.
And again, probably looking just at the round before, that's going to be another example of a national matchup that's been a 1 to 2 point game. That's mouth-watering for that, what that holds next year.
Yeah.
That all of these games potentially can be in a knife edge. These can all be one-score games. As you said, that either you're going to be the hero that catches a touchdown to win the game, or you're going to be the DB that makes the play. That's exciting.
I like how you referred to the offensive player as heroes because offense is definitely the most important.
I'm always going to have a bias.
Yeah. I've seen the video of the last play, and the ball tracking for Henry is just phenomenal, just to put it off, and it was tight to the sideline. Like, there was so many things that had to go right, and almost all of them did. If it wasn't for Henry Williams, but yeah. And then on the other pitch, we had my Hornets against the Manchester Titans, and one of our tightest games in the past 5 years.
Nice in regular season.
Yeah, going from holding them to 0 through the season to a 6-point game.
Mm-hmm.
Where they've got the ball to finish and are 10 yards from the end zone. Oh,
yeah,
it's what, like, I am always grateful for the defense that I've got and the talent that I have on the other half of the ball. But Jesus, that was, we were all standing arm in arm, holding our breath for that. I know there was a lot of things that led to that. A catch that may or may not have been caught for a first down that was then ruled incomplete. Maka getting on sportsmanlike conduct for putting a flag down in front of someone. Again, it was right in the Titans' hands, and they played an incredible game. It was a Titans that I hadn't seen in quite a few years. So thank you to them for a stellar game, but Christ, being on the other sideline was nerve-wracking.
Do you know, I'm thinking it just as you're stepping up. Just thinking aloud, now I'm right in thinking the National Division next year will have a football weekend in Manchester that will be a mega football weekend for the National. Now, I'm not sure what the refereeing plan would be there, but that seems like a good opportunity that it has a similar setup, because I think as the quality of football gets better, as the quality of players get better, it's going to be hard to keep on top of the refereeing, and there's going to be so much more of these marginal calls in a game, and
yeah,
as you said, these bang decisions. I'm interested to see how that's going to play out next year. I maybe expect the regional game days will be ref between the teams, but maybe you can't have a difference at the big days. But it seems like it's something that would benefit from maybe having ref crews for that. But I don't know. That's something that's...
Yes.
Now, I watched this game quite a bit, and there was a few. Yeah, I think you'll admit it. I think there was a few mistakes from the Hornets in this game, and
Absolutely.
the Titans kept around. And do you think? And looking at the sort of the Titans' scores in the season, they had quite a lot of close, tight games where they beat the Outlaws 33-31. They beat the Crows by 2 points in the final game. Do you think not having those sort of challenges in the season may have affected that performance in the semi-final, sort of getting that tight because it has been so close because you were up so much throughout the season and obviously they were used to that pressure?
I'll tell you, the final drive with the Titans walking onto the field is a feeling I've not had in a long time. A long, long time. Maybe slightly Redden in the semi-final last year, but I'm pretty sure we finished with the ball in that game. But I wouldn't say that we ever got complacent. I think we got a bit of a shock at halftime when we realised the score. Not that we weren't keeping track of the score or anything, but I wouldn't ever say we got complacent. I think we always knew what was at stake. You've probably seen our sideline getting a bit antsy. Some of us arguing with each other and whatnot, but we were getting quite frustrated. And it's something I've said on the podcast before. If you start to blame refs for your loss, you've already lost the game. But Tim, like how he didn't call Kerrins's catch a catch when both the 7 and the line of scrimmage said that he had full possession of the ball and he overturned it is beyond me. Like that's when we start to lose our heads, and that's when things start to go wrong for us. And we've seen that in the start of the final as well, which we'll come on to. But I don't really think we ever got complacent. There was a lot of frustration and there was a lot of anger. Me personally, because I couldn't compete at the level that I'm used to competing at, because I was running around with a weight attached to my knee that didn't want to bend. But each individual.
It turns out to be that championship mentality and that defense who had never been put in that position all season. Like, I don't think he had he had 1-1 score game towards the end.
No.
But to put it in that and pull it out in a semi-final and get that stop on, I think it was like 4th down, whereas I think that set you guys up really well for that final. There was your perspective was of it.
There was a huge momentum swing when the defense, not that they were ever down, but when the defense stepped up with their backs against the wall. They've got to stop essentially a 2-point conversion to get us into a final, and they'd done it. Lightbody played a phenomenal game shutting down Wedge. In that last play where he made Wedge have to rush his reads, I think that's kind of what swung it for me. So big love to Lightbody. He's always my boy, but seeing him do plays like that is just excellent. It's so comforting knowing that I've got a big weighted blanket called the Hornets defense to wear whenever I need it. But yeah, it was tough. It's the first time personally, and I'm very open and honest about mental health and where I'm at with it and the blockers that I have, but it's the first time I've ever felt panic in a long time. A long, long time. But yeah, we got there.
And you won it. And
the big man named James
Lee.
Say that again, Eubo?
Yeah, the big man named James Lightbody trying to save it.
Yeah.
And he did the job.
Yeah. It's the most contradicted name in history. Lightbody when you're 6'4" and whatever. He's just huge. We call him Icarus for a reason. He's got a wingspan.
Yeah, bloody does
he? Moving back towards the plate, we had the Cheltenham Neptunes taking the London Fire 40-21, and the Oil Cats in a really tight game with the Red Devils in 24-27. Aberdeen just always just this far. I didn't see either of those games. I was getting myself prepped and the youth team prepped for our finals. I'm not sure if either of you caught any of them.
I think I ended up reffing a youth game in that slot, but I have a feeling that it was a trading scores game because it was a loud pitch. it was a loud pitch.
Yeah.
So,
both very passionate teams. Like Redden have been on the receiving end of their sideline, and it's when you're lined up on their sideline and you've got judo in your ear just whispering absolute nonsense. He knows what he's doing. He's good at it. But yeah, and then obviously the passion from the Aberdeen guys. Quite a tough day for them, but they still fighting out to the very end. So well done to them.
Also a massive improvement from the wildcard matchup of it. That again, if you're taking things away from these games, it's got to be you've made your adjustments after the game. You understood where points were being scored and lost. That to then bring that to a 3-point game, that's something you got to be proud of as well.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Like the day's not over. Like there's things that do matter, and somewhat, whether it's pride, whether it's possession, whatever. After the first round's done, like, and if Hornets went out in the first round, I can't say we'd be particularly thrilled, and I'm not sure we'd go in with the same attitude towards the latter end of the day if we did come out in the first. It's a difficult position to be in, and managing to keep your head high, your body ready, and still able to go into games like that and bring it down to a 3-point game is a phenomenal attitude to have.
Yeah.
Then we have the plate final, which was a rather convincing 48-28 to the Red Devils. Think the Devils will be quite frustrated falling out of the top 4 again. Kind of regressed a little bit. I think they won the plate in 23, if I'm correct, I believe. But props to the Cheltenham Neptunes. Like, I know their roster's bolstered a fair amount in the past couple of years. So they've obviously got Ashen now as well. But for the damage that they're doing over the day was great. So I'm happy to see the Tunes. Bez is a big fan of them. Turn up the Tunes. And obviously Mr. Flagpalooza, Ben, that's his team. So congratulations to them on finishing the day. But yeah, well done to Redden on the plate final and finish. They don't have a plate that they can go and take out through Manchester and Donner meet off this year. They only got a small pylon, but yeah. And then second last game of the day for the seniors was the Titans Canes, which I know Joe benched himself for this one. I think he was he was happy that he got in the top 4. He wants to rest himself for Europe. No silly decisions. Obviously selected for GB. But that game going down to extra overtime was wild. And I think it was 3... I think the Canes scored on the third XP and they started on defence first. So, yeah, just from my point of view, I was sitting on the sideline being like, right, come on, I've warmed up, I'm ready to go. Let's get this game going. But yeah, finishing the season strong in the third place. Again, falling 1 from last year, which they won't be too happy about, but I don't think they're going anywhere. They'll be back in the National League with a bang.
Yeah. It's definitely one where Joe can bench himself, especially even at quarterback, and you bring Ryan in, who has a cannon. Like, yeah. I had to unfortunately play against him, and I was playing some defense at this point in the last game day, and you think you stand maybe a yard off the receiver thinking, yep, he's not going to throw this from his own 5 into the end zone. And he unrifled it was flat. Just flat across the pitch. And by the time he even thought, oh wait, he's let go of this ball, it was in the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So
some people just have it. Crazy. And I don't. I can't throw a ball to save myself.
I can only do it backwards.
Backwards between the legs. And then the grand final.
One more wee game for the day.
Just a little game. Nothing exciting. Even just thinking about it now is, yeah, back to back. Hornets got it done.
Champions.
Yeah.
And is that 2 wee medals I see over your left shoulder? Is that?
That's there is 1 gold and 1 silver. I got a silver medal for my Hornets youth coming second. But yeah, my gold medal's sitting over there. And I know Bez is going to clip this and put it on and make me look like a total egotistical maniac, but such is life. It was the game that the Hornets wanted. We wanted smoke. Not that Cardiff or anyone else that finished in the top 5 aren't fitting opponents, but we wanted the smoke. We wanted that game since the finals in 23. And we got it. And it went fine. Everything went. We done exactly what we needed to do and not anything more. It was one of the most frustrating games I've ever played in, just because I knew I was being limited by my leg.
Yep.
I knew, early on in the second half, I took that knock and I thought that was me done. I didn't think I'd get back on the pitch at that point. But we did. I did. I came back on and we...
What was the
credit.
feeling? Sorry, no, you go.
Oh, you go, mate? No?
No, I was more thinking. Watching the final in 23. Yeah, 23. That was obviously I'd imagine that was your hardest football day, and the career that you and your team have had. To be so close and not get there against a really high powered offense, a really smart quarterback, all that kind of thing that the London Smoke offer. What's the conversation you as a team have before that game to say, look, we've done that against Cardiff. Now, again, I think that is then one iota further with having to go up against the London Smoke again. What's the conversation you have as a team? Because I suspect your tactics are less. It's everything that's going to be up here.
Totally, yeah. We know our game plan inside out. We've executed it 1,000 times, and this is all going to be a battle between the years. I think because of how the Titans game finished, that massive momentum swing from us actually coming back into the game, we didn't perform particularly impressively in the second half of that game.
Yeah.
And then being able to clutch it back, but finalise the win.
Yeah.
We didn't really have much time to think, let alone breathe, before. It was go back, get a quick drink, and then get warmed up again and go. And personally, I found the indoor arena quite loud, and that's not really the mentality that I want, or the space that I want. So I took myself away. I sat with Gemma, and then just tried to calm the head, bring it down. And the last time I played Smoke, I had to have a call with Dale Kirby before it because I didn't think I was going to be performing the situation, and I went and played one of the best games of football I think I've ever played in my life.
I don't think there's a better person to talk you through that either.
No, there isn't. Coach Kirby.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was trying to keep the same mentality that I left that I went into the first game that I played against Smoke with, and keep the level head. All I needed to do was catch a ball. I wasn't going to be doing anything fancy. I knew I couldn't run. I'd run deep. I knew if I had to sit on that pitch and run flies all day just to take Nick or Frost away so that the underneath was there, then I'd do it. It was very much we, not me, for myself.
Yeah.
The Hornets as a whole was just trying to keep the head because we are the hardest team that we will ever face. No disrespect to London Smoke. They played a great final and they beat us many times before. They know our offense and we know their defense. But that, honestly, I don't know. It's just keep it churning, keep it going. We reverted eventually to just running all hitches, and we hitched our way all the way up the pitch. And
sometimes you get you really can't criticise the classics.
It worked.
The only thing that beats that is a flat four defence and who's running that on every play. Do you know what I mean? It's you're always going to find someone, and with a team of that caliber, of that talent, of that elusiveness, putting the ball in someone's hand 7 yards away, it's not going to finish at 7 yards.
Yeah. But honestly, like, I think the biggest thing that we took away this year was, in years past, the beast of the Hornets has always been the defense, and it still is. They are still such a formidable force, and they're so well drilled and they're so well run. Individually, they're all excellent players, and collectively, they're even better than that. But our offense this year has been shit hot. Like, we have churned this year, and we've been really proud of that, and we've backed ourselves. So for us to go out and perform the most basic of game plans to win the game is great.
Yeah.
But the thing that I love most about that final is the two lead scorers of the Hornets this year, myself and Jules, didn't score a touchdown.
No.
It was Euan, it was Richie, and it was Kerrance and Nicky. Me and Joe's got a couple of XPs between us, and we're very happy with that. And Joe, credit to Joe, he got MVP from Bafa, won that lovely little bag from Nola. He was the latter stages of that game. He was just Nicky's blanket, just Joe. Like, you throw, like, I would pay money to watch anyone try and take a hit shot, even if they know it's coming.
Yeah.
To line up against Jules man on man and try and take that ball away from him, because it's just.
I mean, I've seen a very excited Nicky Farrell on social media and all that kind of thing, and it's interesting the way you're saying that, in the sense that your offense has been very, very good, meaning you don't actually need to overcomplicate your playbook. That is belief in your team, that the guy you're thrown to, like, you know, if I'm the quarterback, you're making that be going, it's fine, I know you're better than him. Like, you know, we'll throw you a 7-yard hitch and you go and beat him, and you do that for four plays for a first, 8 plays for a drive. Do that 32 times a game.
Dan, how many plays did the Hornets run? How many individual plays? Of our vast and deep playbook, we ran 11 plays.
But what I really liked is the constant setup of the hitches, and the patience of when to use that hitch and go. Because a lot of people will use it too early, and some people will use it too late. And I think even Alan was on the broadcast going, I thought he'd go to it sooner. But it was the exact perfect moment. Like, I think I spoke to Nicky the day after. He was like, yeah, I called it in the huddle, and I saw the DB just start to creep up, and I knew I'd called it at the right time. Like, that patience and that sort of chess game is something you're going to get, because that final was, again, it was similar to the Wolfer final. Both teams sort of trying to figure each other out in that first half. The scores were identical, 7-6 at the half. And then sort of that's where that championship caliber really came out in that second half. You found out what was working, and you just went to it and just kept going and pushing. So it was 11 plays is very impressive in a final, and just constantly using them all.
And so, relatively long rushing touchdown for Nicky as well.
Say that again.
Relatively long rushing touchdown for Nicky as well.
I don't think he had the rush. He had the pass back from Kerrance to rush it in, which sealed the game. That finished the game. That put us 2 scores up with less than a minute on the clock. But I'm just so proud of this team and what we've gone back to back against both Cardiff and the Smoke. Like, I'm over the moon with it. I couldn't be happier as a player. But begs the question, what's next? I suppose.
The kids are saying three-peat out there.
Nobody in the Hornets is saying that yet. Just yet. But thank you to everyone who came to support the sidelines, came to say hello, speak to me, cheered on the team. It is always really appreciated. But cracking. And now we get to do it all over again for Div 1. Yay, which is an even bigger setup.
So I guess key difference is for this one, you went from wild card into a round of 8, then to your your quarterfinals.
Yes. So I'll probably let you two take the brunt of this, to be honest. I'll read out the scores and I'll let you two go wild about what the games you want to go wild about. So, first round, we had the Diablos versus the West Lancashire Serpents. Diablos coming out 26-19. Warrington Revolution. Jake Shaw, familiar face from down there. 55 to Exeter Falcons 20. The Grangemouth Mustangs, some team from the Midlands, don't know who they are. Came out against the Northern Titans White, 34-27. And then the Bucks Wolves topped the Nottingham Honey Badgers 39-13. So I think it's a very obvious game that we'll start on, just out of graciousness for one of my guests this evening.
Yeah. So I think where we started this season, obviously Mustangs were formed last season. Just again, we had a lot of players at the club, and you're always looking to let people play as much as possible. It's we benefited from having the Colts as well, and there was no real guidance last year as to who was a Colt, who was a Mustang. It was an even split, and it was a bit of a tail up and a tail off for both teams. Just as that season went, the Colts had a slower start just as they started to get people on board and getting consistent training and all that kind of thing. Whereas the Mustangs, being that new team, we were aware we had to start early to try and build that chemistry. So yeah, I mean, last year, as I said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time last year. That's obviously been another podcast, but for us, it was a disappointing end to the year. I think we finished the division champions last year, and following that, you had your play-in games to play, and then obviously a trip down to Manchester as well. So finished the season with one defeat, and then the bad game day for us. There was 7 great game days before it. The bad one just happened to be the promotion playoff game. So
yeah,
where we had a lot of momentum behind us, it was really quite a sucker punch to have not made that. Only picking up 1 win on the day out of 3. So that was challenging because you always want to go in with the mentality that you're going to progress through these games, and it's tough when you don't, when you've been working and training. But ultimately, teams have bad days. That's what the day was. Some catches get made over you that wouldn't on another day, and then sometimes you run out of ideas. So we took some time to reflect on what that season was, and you take a look back and look at the players that have also developed in that time as well. So we obviously in a bit of a reshuffle when you then now have, or at that point, 2 Premier teams in the Colts and the Broncos. There are some people that inherently want to play Div 1. There are some that want to take the shot at the higher level. So there's always going to be that reshuffle, which meant that we lost Dan Picton as he moved up to the Broncos. Similarly with Brendan McFarlane up to the Broncos as well, although he'd picked up an injury at Flag and New Year. So there was big boots to fill this season in terms of where do those touchdowns come back from, and who you turn to. So we really benefited from Jason Miles. He had wanted to play Div 1, stepping down from the Broncos, and then also recruiting Neil Arnold from the Colts. So that's been a real benefit to Sam to make sure that he still enjoys football. Because obviously, I think playing quarterback is one of the high pressure situations in the game, and when it's not going well, people always turn to you. So having the experience of Neely with the Kirkcaldy Bulls, it's been helpful because it means that Sam can take a break and enjoy football and have someone there that's
of course
competent to do it as well. And to be honest, Sam's actually really he's exciting to watch as a receiver as well. Like it's not just the legs at quarterback that carry him through. So I think those have been key difference makers, but also the people that we've recruited as well. We've brought 2 youth players up, and Robbie and Kyle, who've both made a great impact in the season, and also recruited people that are new to the sport as well, and Jamie. So I guess Jamie's first outing was in Utrecht at Flag. If ever there's going to be a baptism by fire, then maybe that's it. But so I think what our goals for the season were was let's get to the big dance again. Let's give ourselves the opportunity to get there again, and obviously slightly different arrangement this year in terms of promotion, etc. But we had a call on Thursday night before we went down to Manchester, and really it was about what are we wanting to achieve, what does success look like for this team, and it's funny because I think even when we're talking about like the other matchup in terms of like West Lancashire Serpents, obviously I didn't get to see that game, but it has been a bit of a goldfish bowl this year in Div 1 in Scotland, in terms of just playing all the same teams 3 times, whereas maybe other years you were getting to see a bit more. You were getting to see what these other teams were, what their season was, what impact does a win or loss for you guys have against them. So it's been what success looked like for us was development as a player comes when you're playing at the highest level on offer to you, and playing against really good athletes will make you a better athlete. If you can stay the course and buy into that mentality, then that will make you better. So our goals from the outset was let's win that first game and everything after it's gravy, whether that's a run in the championship or a run in the plate. So yeah, it was an interesting game to start. I think Sam had won the toss, so Sam and Cass had won the toss. So Northants started with the ball. Quite a big and physically intimidating team. I think their quarterback was probably about double of a Martin, if you're aware of my teammate. So yeah, and to go into a game with a relatively unknown quantity, we maybe just had some notes and stuff from other teams. So it was going to be a real test, and yeah, that started with an interception from Jason on the first play, who took us back to a really good field position. So yeah, I mean to go into that game and score effectively in your first, a defence turning over in a short field, it's a nice start to have. But then yeah, it was a game of traded scores. I'm just looking at the summary that Jimmy was keeping the chat up to date with. But half time, 20-13 to the Mustangs. So yeah, in front for the full game by a score. So what that game was about for us, I think it was execution on each play. It was making good reads. It was, I mean, for me, getting snaps off, getting the ball to Sam as quick as possible, because that was, again, you had 2 really fast blitzers coming towards him. It's getting the yard of separation, and it's what you do with at any stage. It's don't let the pressure of the game get to you. Catch the ball and do something with it afterwards. But number one is catch the ball and make the yards. So
totally.
Yeah, it was a really good game, and yeah, the game sealing catch from Martin for the first down to run out the clock was it guarantees a higher level of football next year for the Mustangs, which
you had your goal in mind and you achieved it. So congratulations, buddy. I'm proud of you.
It's for the guys that felt the hurt of it last year, it meant a lot to get that hurdle done. So really really proud of my team. Really happy for my teammates, and yeah, what come what may next year, I'm sure we will be all the better for it.
Well done.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, the work's going to start now. Our next game maybe gives a bit of an insight into what our next level is, what our next level looks like. So yeah, it might be a short off season and a long pre-season to get there, but yeah, I think you've got to always want to push to that next level. To if you want to become a better player, then pushing to that next level and seeing what that level is gets you there. So no, yeah, really happy with that wildcard game. And yeah, then straight on to the next. You get rewarded with your win by another game straight away.
So round of 8, we had the Bucks Wolves versus the Manchester Titans Bees. Bees taking that 38-35. The Nomads beat the Red Diablos 25-20. The VPP, Victoria Park Panthers, 48 to Warrington Revs 20, which is a big flip on their previous game, coming off plus 35 points to negative 28. And then the game you just alluded to, the Huntsman, 48 to Mustangs 13. So, yeah, big flip. It's if there's any consolation, you did lose to the team that went to win it all. So
that was a takeaway for both the championship bracket and the plate. So, yeah, that I mean so the Leicester Huntsmen were a team that we were paying particularly good interest to in the later stages of the season, as the ones being in that sort of mid-80s percentage. So coming into the last game day of the regular season, interested to see what the Huntsmen were doing, because I think if a dropped result and us winning 3 would have put us in their spot and them in ours kind of thing. So
yeah.
Start a wee bit earlier interest in those in the Huntsmen. In terms of the game, the kind of chat we had is that there are guys in that there are people in that team that are making their way into the silver setup and the GB under 21 setup. So
Yep.
you can do a bit of simple maths to say that they've got more GB players than you do, and that level of athleticism was definitely on show in terms of physicality, size, and the quarterback that I believe is the under 21s quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and end zone to end zone balls, not anything that phases them. So having some really fast athletes that can go and get those balls as well. It was a challenging game. I think it pushed us to some of the limits of our playbook against the defense. And again, that's where we've benefited from having Neil and Sam being able to switch things up, because it is largely 2 different offenses. Neely's got our playbook there as a blanket if he wants something quick, but also
he's got his brain.
A lot up there that,
or he can just show you his arm. He's got a couple of places tattooed up there.
So, no, it's been good. It was just the athleticism of the 2 teams was probably the defining factor here. Just the yards or 2 of separation that the guys could get in the back was where the game was won and lost. Really, it made our drive short and it made theirs long. Yeah.
Fair. Well, at the end of the day, you had a target in mind at the start of the season and you got there. So, congratulations to the Mustangs on that. The next round is where things get
interesting.
Spicy. We have
Cammy, can you
2 first round exits, 3 first round exits, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so the number 1 seed coming into the whole day, the Border City Centurions fell to the Leicester Huntsmen 21-27. Cardiff Storm, who I believe were sitting in the 2nd seed, I think. Pretty sure they were. Fell to VPP 37-34. The Renfrewshire Raptors, Scottish contingent, coming in 25-13 against the Manchester Titans Bees, and then the Tiger Sharks from down in Chichester coming in 26 against Norwich Nomads 27.
Yeah, that's. I was particularly a wee bit more knowledge in terms of the Border City Centurions and the Huntsmen. Obviously, we'd had a chat just after our game with the Huntsmen, just in terms of who to watch, who's going deep, where the ball's going around the field. I did get to see some of the Centurions Huntsmen. I can't remember if that was when the weather was coming into play at that point, but the defining like the Border City Centurions have got a lot to be proud of in that game. I think probably definitely one of the bigger sidelines that you could see on the day. Quite a stacked team, but I think getting into that game has been a big achievement for them. They've put a lot of work in. A good regular season, but you can see the investment and time that they've put together as a team in terms of coming up a couple of Saturdays through winter to go and show up at Winter League and test out new players and get them that exposure, because I think game time was always going to be a struggle in the off season in a place like Carlisle. In the sense of it's a 3-hour drive if you're going up or down to some of the nearest teams. So I mean that's full credit. There's a lot of hard work that's gone into Border City, and largely they were in the game for the majority of it. I saw a lot of traded scores.
1-score game.
Yeah, so I mean that's a testament to nicking the guys to stay in that game. But also again, it's the target for next season when you play against a team that has run you that close, but is just that has the edge. It's your responsibility to get better, to wonder why did they have that edge on you, what I need to do next year. And I'm sure with the coaching set up at Border City, I've got no doubt that they're going to improve from that next year.
Yes, so it's very interesting. I watched quite a lot of the games throughout the morning, and obviously I was very interested in the first round of games because of seeing who would be up and who would be down, because that was always going to be interesting, especially being in that middle tier next year with the Panthers. Your game was epic. It was good to see you guys go up as well. You don't have to play two Northants teams either next year, which is quite nice.
Yep.
So it gives a bit of variety to the team. But the game of that round, other than the Jaws, was definitely the Serpents versus Diablos, because it was just back and forward the whole time. A really crucial pick by Reading towards the end of that game that really changed it. So then you get to this round of 8, which obviously a lot more back-to-backs and the first round of buys. And it was interesting to see all of the teams that had already played a game actually got knocked out in this round, I think. Yes, because Victoria Park Panthers beat Warrington, and they got very good. Huntsmen obviously beat Mustangs, and they just decided we're going to throw go balls on their first couple of drives against you, which was just mean. And then again, another close game between the Nomads and Reading. That came down to a 4th down stop as time expired. Reading just missed, so that would have won the game for them. And Titans Bees Bucks Wolves, that was a classic game. So that was Bucks Wolves drove the field and then had one play to score, like 1 second left on the clock, and it was a great play by the defense. They went into man and just covered an over from the far side. But that, for a first time ever, left us to these quarterfinals with the top 8 seeds. And I don't think I've seen that much in Div 1. And I think it shows that obviously the talent is starting to get to those impressive teams. And yeah, I stayed around to watch a lot of the Border City versus Huntsman game, like you did, and it was very back and forth. There was a end of the half. Leicester executed a very good Hail Mary from basically one end zone to the other to put them up. I think it might have been 2 scores at the time.
Was this Big Jake's catch?
Yes, it was. It was a very good catch. It was nothing wrong with the catch at all. It was just he read the flight really well. I think the challenge that Border City, there was a couple of times they got beaten by the flight of the ball. I think it was 2 touchdowns that defenders either got hands on or close to that then ends up in a Leicester Huntsman's. But Huntsman did that. They had the ball. And I told this to them, they had some interesting choices in the 2-minute drill to try and I think they threw on the first 2 downs for incompletions, but they converted and got the stop in the end. But yeah, it was a great game. And I think this was where we started to see the curse of the double bye. I have been hit by the curse of the double bye 2 years ago when we came in and got beaten by an extra point shootout by the Spark, who went on to win it, which doesn't really help the sore wounds of that one. But 3 out of the 4 teams in this quarterfinal had already played 1 game. The only team that was on that double bye that went through was the Raptors. So it does bring an interesting point. Is the double bye actually beneficial? Or is it you come in so cold against a top 8 team and then you're
something
dropped?
that something we as Hornets have spoke about before as well. Like that, because we know we can come in a bit cold. Is it worth it? I don't think it'd ever get to the point where we'd actually sacrifice wins or anything, but it has played on our mind before. Like if we want the bye or whether we would rather just how big a difference does 4 games make to 3? Like, it's weighing out the options. And I know that's a lot different in Div 1 when you've got 5 or 6 games compared to potentially 3. So but again, changing the structure next year. Hopefully it'll all work out for the better and we won't have any more double buys or any nonsense like that. But
yeah, I think
it's
certainly picking up an injury in game 1. Yeah, that was a tough one to carry back to back to back. In terms of going Northants to Huntsman and then into the final. That was I wanted a wee break in between that, but
you're a centre. You just want short of centre.
Other results in this quarterfinal that were all very close. They were all very close to quarterfinals. VPP beat the Storm on one of the final plays of the game, I'm told.
That could be the last play.
I believe. I don't know if it was last play or it was very close to last play, but there was a interesting contact foul called. I think there were some disagreements from either sideline of whether it should or shouldn't have been called. But that then set them up at being able to score and win that game. And I think that was probably the big upset in that round. And that's the challenge you get. Excuse me. The challenge you get when in Div 1 this year, there hasn't been much cross-conference. So you don't know where you stand.
No.
Is your conference quite a challenging one or is it quite an easy one? You see the Midlands Conference sent 4 teams and 3 of them made the top 3. Leicester, Nomads, and there's another one. They sent a lot and they made well. So it is a challenge, but it adds that extra element to your Div 1. I don't know, to go to the semi-finals now.
Yeah, semi-finals. VPP Nomads, which I heard was a really good game, and unfortunately where Bez's stock options fell short. But Nomads, I would like to give a special shout out to. Obviously, they have a place in the HNC's heart. We've spoken about them a lot on this show. And for what is their first season to come out and come into what I know there wasn't a 3rd, 4th place game played for whatever reason. But for them to come back and do that is, sorry, not come back, but come out and do that in their first ever year is something to be attested to. So congratulations to them on a stellar first year. But also congratulations to VPP for making the final, 33-26 to them. And then the Leicester Huntsmen cruising through over our home pick of the Raptors, 46-8.
Yeah, I didn't.
VPP.
I wasn't able to see the game, but it's it was maybe a sign of things to come when your second seed in the Highlands, your first seed in the English North. The two teams have fallen already. It's going to be a tough game. No matter how many warnings you could give of who's who. But yeah, that's.
I understand Raptors had some injuries on the day as well. I think someone potentially. I'm not 100% sure.
A non-playing member, funnily enough.
Well, huge interest in that is
it's a testament to messing around with football and warm-ups.
Yeah. Then the final coming down to a one-score game, 31-27 to the Leicester Huntsmen.
Yeah, cool. So the final was very weird. It was an interesting first half. I didn't really see too much of the second half because we went over to sort of look at one of the youth finals going on. But the first half was Leicester came out firing. They came out with a purpose, but it wasn't just we're going to throw the ball over the top, because VPP knew that sort of tactic because they have a quarterback who can do that. Sam has thrown the ball over the top of me multiple times over the last couple of months at many flag tournaments. So they came out firing. VPP didn't quite get it right, but it was still coming down to it was a one-score game in that first half, but on a couple of occasions, VPP tried to side snap and then use that side snapper, who's normally a wide receiver, as a quarterback. On both occasions, the pass that was passed to the receiver, they fumbled into Leicester's defender's hands for an interception.
Oh,
and it was
no.
It was repeat twice. It was just like, oh, no. But the VPP defense stepped up. It was like, okay, yeah, let's go. They then had the ball to drive at the end of the first half, and they got the ball out of the half as well. That would have put it at 2 scores all. And end zone pick by Alex of the Huntsman, who then returns it to the house for a pick 6 length of the field, which then again changes that. There's a game-changing moment because that the momentum was for VPP at that point, and they went up 3 scores to 1. And then I don't think VPP scored out of the first drive. I can't remember, but at that point, it did look very much like Leicester were cruising. They're going to win this, like they had done
Game over.
The last game. So I don't know what happened towards the later ends of that game, because I also saw Alex get another pick in the end zone again. So it was a very interesting game. I think VPP will be very much of we left our chances on the field, whereas I think Leicester, they won the championship, and sometimes you don't care how you won it. It's you won it, and they did what they needed to do and ran out the clock to win the game. So it was definitely an interesting final. Congratulations to Leicester. They played well all day, knocking off the 1 seed, knocking off the 2 seed. If you do that, you're deserved champions. And they played well, played the conditions really well. When it was raining, they weren't just always trying to run the ball. They did have that sudden threat of, oh no, we are going to throw it a little bit, so be prepared. And their defense to me was just monumental. When they needed to make plays, they made plays, which was really good. So it'll be
Championship football
how they do next year. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do next year, whether they can continue that sort of run going with the talent that they have, or will that sort of step up? How big will that hit? With Cardiff going up, they can't do, if they were going to be in the South Division, we normally have quite a joke that if you get promoted in the South, you have to play Cardiff game 1. It happened to us and it happened to Swansea this year. So they don't get that initiation with them going.
You don't get the trial by fire.
You never know. Maybe they get, who would be in that division? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Titans Bees will also potentially be in that division, so maybe they play them. So yeah, it was a good game. But yeah, congratulations to them. I think.
Yeah, congratulations to the Huntsman. Well done. Applause all round. I think the next
sportsmanship from VPP as well. A wee guard of honours are going up to get the trophy.
Amazing, love that. Yeah. VPP will always be a favourite of mine. Teammate Euan Miller, previously played with him. I still think they have one of the best jerseys. It was like the old 92 Germany diamond cut style one. I love it. But yeah, VPP, class act from them. Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, obviously we've got the WFFL, but keeping our minds towards the NFFL, I think the biggest thing that they've got to think about now is locations for how this bracket's all going to work out. Obviously the North sorts itself out. We're pretty much cutting, sorry, not the North, the National is going to be pretty cut and dry. That's going to be fair enough. But that Div 1 and new Premiership bracket's going to intrigue to see how they match everything up and everything out. So
yeah, we were having a chat about that today. So I mean, we will be in the pot with just having a quick thought here. So Colts, Mustangs, Chargers, and Raptors will make the Scottish contingent of it so far. There's two more. I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be Border City and maybe a Newcastle. But that's
I think.
Yeah,
that would be my speculation on it. But
yeah, be interesting to see how it all turns out. But yes, we have been rambling in your ears for almost 2 hours now, which is usually the case for when we do finals wrap up. But gentlemen, thank you both so much for accompanying me this evening. Sorry for last week, but both your insights have been lovely to hear. Any final words?
No, I think the main reflection is if you take that weekend as a snapshot of what next year looks like, it's a positive step and it's going to
be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Dan?
One season ends, we still got plenty more flag football to go. We've got Euros, Waffle, so much more flag football, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. And then, next year is going to be interesting. Let's see who is going to shake up this flag football scene in the UK. Will be interesting.
Yeah. Yes, me and Bez will be back in your earhole soon enough to talk all things Euros, get some excitement rolling, to see our girls and boys over in Paris causing some trouble. But for this evening, that's all from us tonight. Thank you very much for joining us, and that is the way we HNC it.
Thank you, and good night.